Dear student, this is the second session on anti-Parkinsonian drugs. In the previous session, we have discussed the clinical feature of Parkinsonism. We discussed the classification of anti-Parkinsonian drug along with levodopa and carbidopa. In this session, we will discuss the remaining drugs used and are effective in treatment of Parkinsonism. We have discussed in the previous session few of the limitations of levodopa. We discussed after 4 to 5 years, levodopa shows some adverse effect like dyskinesia. Abnormal movements are seen, facial tics, grimacing. These adverse effects are seen after 4 to 5 years of levodopa therapy. On-off effect is also seen, which is characterized by fluctuation in motor performance. These adverse effects are shown with levodopa because levodopa is providing only symptomatic relief. It is replenishing the dopamine level in basal ganglia. It is not acting upon its receptor. So levodopa that is being released by substantia nigra, that is released by dopaminergic neuron, is ultimately metabolized through various enzymes, monoamine oxidase, COMT, and others. And by the action of these enzymes, they are metabolizing such oxidative metabolites which are degenerating these neurons. So, with the use of levodopa, dopaminergic neurons are destroying over the long term. So, to overcome these limitations, dopaminergic agonists have been developed. These dopaminergic agonists act on striatal dopamine receptors, specifically D2 receptors. Even in advanced patients who have largely lost the capacity to synthesize, store, and release dopamine from levodopa. Dopaminergic agonists can exert subtype selective activation of dopamine receptor involved in Parkinsonism. Levodopa form synthesize dopamine which act on different type of dopamine receptor, so it is not receptor selective. Levodopa is not receptor selective, while dopaminergic agonist is dopamine receptor selective. It act upon our desired receptors. Dopaminergic agonists have potential to modify the course of Parkinson disease by reducing the endogenous release of dopamine as well as the need for exogenous levodopa, thereby reducing free radical formation. So, as we have discussed, dopamine with the use of levodopa, dopamine is generating in the brain and it is metabolizing oxidative metabolite which are free radical, which are ultimately destroying the dopaminergic neurons. But these dopaminergic agonists are not generating free radicals. They act upon the dopaminergic neurons. Other advantage of dopaminergic agonist over levodopa is their duration of action. They are longer acting. Their duration of action is 8 to 24 hours. That is longer than that of levodopa, which have duration of action is only 6 to 8 hours. So you have to give multiple times the therapy. And dopaminergic agonists, they are particularly effective in treatment of patients who have developed on-off phenomena. That means advanced cases of Parkinsonism, you can give dopaminergic agonist drug. Bromocriptine is the leading example of dopamine agonist. It is ergot derivative. It is potent agonist on D2 receptor, but it acts as a partial agonist or antagonist on D1 receptor. So you can see here it is receptor selective. It is agonist on D2 receptor, but it is partial agonist or antagonist on D1 receptor. In place of bromocriptine, if you have used levodopa, it will activate, it will stimulate all dopamine receptors. But here bromocriptine is agonist on D2 receptor, but agonist or antagonist on other receptors. It can be used in late cases as we have discussed, in advanced cases as a supplement to levodopa to improve control and smoothen on-off fluctuations. Because on-off phenomena is because of short duration of action of levodopa. Because over the years dopaminergic neurons has been degenerated, they cannot withhold, they cannot store dopamine neurotransmitter. So as soon as you give levodopa, it is converted into dopamine and it is instantaneously released in substantia nigra, in basal ganglia. And because of that, Parkinsonism is overcorrected. And after 30 minutes, the patient resumes back its old condition. So patient swings between the undercorrection of Parkinsonism, normal condition, and overcorrection of Parkinsonism. This on-off phenomena, this fluctuation in motor performance is less seen with use of bromocriptine. They are longer acting as compared to levodopa. Other dopamine agonists are ropinirole and pramipexole. They are more commonly used nowadays as compared to bromocriptine. They are not ergot derivative. So their adverse effect like vasoconstriction, Raynaud's phenomena are much less as compared to bromocriptine. So they are more commonly used nowadays. They are non-ergolin. They are selective D2 or D3 receptor agonist with negligible affinity for D1 and non-dopaminergic receptors. They are now frequently used as a monotherapy for early Parkinson disease as well. So they are effective in late cases or advanced cases, and nowadays they are also used as a early Parkinson disease as well. Ropinirole is rapidly absorbed orally, and ropinirole is FDA approved drug for use in restless leg syndrome as well. Side effect of dopamine agonist, whether it is levodopa or dopamine agonist, they are all increasing the activity of dopamine neurotransmitter in brain or in body. So their adverse effects are quite similar to each other. Like levodopa is increasing dopamine level and it is act upon the CTZ, and by stimulating D2 receptor on CTZ, it is causing nausea, vomiting. Similarly, here dopamine agonist will act upon D2 receptor, they will act upon directly on D2 receptor on CTZ and they will also cause nausea, vomiting. Levodopa was causing postural hypotension and tachycardia. Tachycardia is produced by acting upon the heart, by acting upon beta 1 receptor, and postural hypotension is because of central effect. These effect, postural hypotension and tachycardia, are also seen with dopamine agonist, because whether it is levodopa or dopamine agonist, or are increasing the dopamine activity. Hallucination and sleepiness may disfavor their use in the elderly. So patients should be advised not to drive if they suffer this side effect. Impulse control disorders, they are more commonly seen with dopamine agonist as compared to levodopa. Impulse control disorder include pathological gambling, hypersexuality, compulsive eating and shopping. So reward system associated with dopamine and alteration in the ventral stratum have been implicated. It is involved to cause impulse control disorders. Now after finishing this dopamine agonist, we will discuss MAO-B inhibitor. As we have discussed in the last session, MAO-B inhibitor, monoamine oxidase B enzyme inhibitor. This MAO-B enzyme is present in brain. It converts dopamine into reactive metabolite, free radicals, that is DOPEC, and DOPEC is converted into homovanillic acid. When you inhibit this enzyme with use of drugs, what will happen? Duration of action of dopamine will increase, so it will be effective in treatment of Parkinsonism. So duration of action of dopamine will increase with use of MAO-B inhibitor. Duration of action of dopamine in brain will increase. So it is obvious that if the duration of action, life of dopamine will increase in brain, so on-off phenomena, chances of on-off phenomena, severity of on-off phenomena, that is fluctuation in motor performance, seen after 4 to 5 year use of levodopa is reduced because of the increased duration of action of levodopa. Apart from increasing the duration of action of dopamine in brain, it is also seen in the studies it is neuroprotective. How? Because MAO-B enzyme is converting dopamine into free radical, oxidative metabolite. So when you administer MAO-B enzyme inhibitor, dopamine will not be converted into free radicals. If the free radicals will not be generated, so dopaminergic neurons will not be destroyed, they will not be disintegrated. So MAO-B inhibitors are neuroprotective in nature. There is one substance, there is one toxin, namely MPTP. MPTP also causes Parkinsonism. So MPTP toxicity can be prevented by co-administration of MAO-B inhibitor, because this MAO-B inhibitor blocks its conversion, MPTP conversion to toxic pyridinium to MPP plus. So MAO-B inhibitor also have potential to block oxidative metabolism of dopamine and prevent oxidative stress. One of the MAO-B inhibitor is salicylic, also called as daprenil. It is selective and irreversible MAO-B inhibitor. When it is given in low dose, 10 mg per day, it does not interfere with peripheral metabolism of dietary amine. Accumulation of catecholamines in hypertensive reaction does not develop. That is more common with non-selective MAO inhibitors. So when it is given at the lower dose 10 mg per day, it inhibit only intracerebral degradation of dopamine. When it inhibit the intracerebral degradation of dopamine, so it is responsible for the therapeutic effect in Parkinsonism, because intracerebral MAO-B enzyme is responsible to convert dopamine into oxidative metabolite. Salicylic, what is the status of salicylic in treatment of Parkinsonism? When the salicylic given alone, it has mild anti-Parkinsonian action in early cases. When it is given along with levodopa, it prolongs levodopa action because it inhibiting the metabolism of dopamine. So duration of action of dopamine is increased. So motor fluctuation, on-off phenomena, wearing of effect is reduced. So the peak dose levodopa side effect, which is dyskinesia, mental confusion or hallucination, they are worsened because the duration of action levodopa is increased. So these side effects are worsened, but on-off phenomena is reduced. That is because of the shorter duration of action of dopamine. Adverse effects seen with MAO-B inhibitor is it will be similar to levodopa, dopaminergic side effect, because ultimately they are increasing the dopamine level in body. So nausea, vomiting, tachycardia, postural hypotension, they all will be seen. Mental confusion, behavioral side effect, frank psychosis, delusion, hallucination will also be seen. These are the all dopaminergic side effect. But apart from these side effects, they are also causing insomnia. Why? Because salicylic, when it is metabolized, it produces amphetamine, and amphetamine causes insomnia. Rasaglin, that is the another MAO-B inhibitor, it does not cause insomnia. Next enzyme inhibitor used in treatment of Parkinsonism is COMT inhibitor. They are potent and reversible inhibitor. MAO-B enzyme inhibitor salicin and rasaglin are irreversible. They are reversible and potent. Example of COMT inhibitor are entacapone and tolcapone. COMT inhibitor are used as an adjuvant to levodopa carbidopa for advanced Parkinson disease. In market, fixed dose combination is also available which combines levodopa with carbidopa with entacapone. This diagram shows the role of CONT enzyme in Parkinsonism. You can see CONT enzyme, catechol O methyltransferase enzyme, is significant in peripheral organ as well as in brain. In peripheral organ outside of the brain, levodopa is metabolized by COMT into 3-OMT, that is 3-O-methyl dopa. So when you are using levodopa along with carbidopa, so levodopa cannot be disintegrated in peripheral organ in dopamine. So all levodopa will be metabolized to 3-OMD in peripheral organs. So if you give COMT enzyme inhibitor additionally along with levodopa carbidopa, what will happen? It will not be metabolized into dopamine because of carbidopa. It will not be metabolized into 3-OMD because of entacapone tolcapone. So more amount of the levodopa will be available to cross blood brain barrier, more amount will enter inside the brain. So it therapeutic efficacy, therapeutic benefits of levodopa will be increased. And the significance of COMT enzyme is not limited to only peripheral organs. COMT enzyme is also responsible to convert levodopa into 3-OMD in brain also. So tolcapone, which crosses blood-brain barrier, which has a longer duration of action as compared to entacapone, it inhibit conversion of levodopa into 3-OMD. So again, it increases the duration of action of levodopa in brain also as well as in peripheral organ. So COMT enzyme inhibitor, when peripheral decarboxylation of levodopa is blocked by carbidopa or benserazide, it is mainly metabolized by COMT to 3-O-methyl dopa. So when you block this pathway also with use of entacapone and tolcapone, the T half of levodopa will be increased and larger fraction of administered dose will be available to cross the blood-brain barrier. So COMT plays a role in degradation of dopamine in brain as well as COMT inhibitor could preserve dopamine formed in striatum and supplement the peripheral effect. So if you use COMT enzyme inhibitor, it will not be converted into its metabolite. So more dopamine will be available in peripheral organ. So more adverse effect of dopamine will be seen if you give levodopa along with COMT enzyme inhibitor. But out of the entacapone and tolcapone, entacapone act only in the peripheral organ because of short duration of action. Tolcapone also shows central action, but tolcapone also the central action is less important. So both entacapone and tolcapone enhance the prolong the therapeutic effect of levodopa carbidopa in advanced and fluctuating Parkinson disease. So they may be used to smoothen wearing off effect or increase on time, decrease off time. So they are used to control on off phenomena. They are used to control fluctuation in motor performance like MAO-B inhibitors. MAO-B inhibitors are also used to decrease on-off phenomena, to decrease fluctuation in motor performance. Similarly, COMT enzyme inhibitors are also used to reduce on-off phenomena. So they improve activities of daily living and allow levodopa dose to be reduced. They are not indicated in early Parkinson disease. COMT inhibitors are not indicated in early Parkinson disease, while MAO-B inhibitors are, when they are used alone, they are also indicated in early Parkinson disease. Adverse effect of COMT inhibitor. Most of the adverse effects seen with COMT inhibitor will be similar to dopaminergic adverse effect like nausea, vomiting, tachycardia, postural hypotension, behavioral side effect, because they are all ultimately the increasing the concentration of dopamine in brain, or dopamine concentration of dopamine in peripheral organs. So these effects will be common, but the peculiar adverse effects that are seen with COMT inhibitor are diarrhea. Diarrhea is seen in 10 to 18% of patients. It is less with entacapone and more with tolcapone. Tolcapone also shows acute fatal hepatitis and rhabdomyolysis. One more adverse effect seen with COMT inhibitor is yellow-orange discoloration of urine. So with use of COMT inhibitor, GIT is also disturbed, urinary tract is also disturbed. So urine and stool both are affected. Stool frequencies increase, so diarrhea is resulted. Urine is affected by the discoloration of urine, yellow-orange discoloration of urine. And these adverse effects are more with tolcapone, and tolcapone also causes acute fatal hepatitis and rhabdomyolysis. So in many of the countries, tolcapone is banned nowadays. Entacapone is not hepatotoxic, that's why it is more commonly used. So with use of tolcapone, you have to keep few points. Tolcapone can cross blood-brain barrier, they have central effect. Tolcapone has central effect while entacapone doesn't have central effect. Tolcapone causes diarrhea and urine discoloration more as compared to entacapone. Tolcapone causes acute fatal hepatitis, while entacapone is not hepatotoxic. Okay. One more drug in treatment of Parkinsonism is, that is amantadine. It was developed as an antiviral drug for prophylaxis of influenza A2. It was found serendipitously to benefit Parkinsonism. It has low efficacy as compared to levodopa. It has multiple mechanisms of action. Multiple mechanisms of action it has. First mechanism is, it promotes presynaptic synthesis and release of dopamine in the brain. So dopamine concentration in basal ganglia is increased. It is dopamine facilitator drug. It facilitates the release of dopamine in brain. Second is anticholinergic property. As we have discussed, in basal ganglia, the balance between dopamine and acetylcholine is disturbed in favor of acetylcholine. So if you block acetylcholine receptor, Parkinsonism feature will be benefited. And other mechanism of action is antagonism of NMDA receptors. So it is more important mechanism of action. So basically more important mechanism of action is NMDA receptor antagonism. Amantadine can be used in milder cases or in short course to supplement levodopa for advanced cases. In this later situation, it serves to suppress motor fluctuation and abnormal movements. Side effects of amantadine are not serious: insomnia, restlessness, confusion, nightmare, anticholinergic effect, and rarely it causes hallucination. One peculiar adverse effect is seen with amantadine is livedo reticularis. It is bluish discoloration and edema of ankle. It is because of local release of catecholamine, which result in post-capillary vasoconstriction. Another strategy in treatment of Parkinsonism is central anticholinergic drugs. As we have discussed in the previous session, in the basal ganglia, dopaminergic neurons are lost. There are selective loss of dopaminergic neurons. So the dopamine concentration in basal ganglia is reduced. So as compared to dopamine concentration, acetylcholine level is increased. It is not absolutely increased. because of its rigidity in bradykinesia result. So if when you cannot increase dopamine level in basal ganglia, you may adopt the second strategy, alternative strategy in treatment of Parkinsonism, that is by antagonizing acetylcholine receptors with use of central anticholinergic drugs or few of the first generation antihistaminic drugs. All anticholinergic, they produce 10 to 25% improvement in Parkinsonian symptoms. They last 4 to 8 hours after a single dose. Out of rigidity, bradykinesia and tremor is benefited more than rigidity. Bradykinesia is affected the least. Siluria, that is hypersalivation, it is controlled by peripheral action. But the overall efficacy of central anticholinergic drug is much lower than levodopa. What is the status of central anticholinergic in treatment of Parkinsonism? They may be used alone in mild cases or when levodopa is contraindicated. In other conditions, central anticholinergic drugs can be combined with levodopa in an attempt to lower levodopa dose. Anticholinergic drugs are the only drugs effective in drug-induced Parkinsonism. Which drug causes Parkinsonism? Typical antipsychotic drug like phenothiazine, haloperidol. These drugs may produce drug-induced Parkinsonism. If you use these drugs are D2 blocker drug, metoclopramide also cause Parkinsonism like situation. These metoclopramide, haloperidol, phenothiazine, these are D2 blocker drug. They block D2 receptor in basal ganglia, so they are producing Parkinsonism like state. If you use levodopa in treatment of drug induced Parkinsonism, what will happen? The Parkinsonism may be treated, but the condition for which they are used, D2 blocker drug, typical antipsychotic drug, they are used in treatment of psychosis. So the psychosis may be worsened because of levodopa. So in treatment of this disease, central anticholinergic drugs are used. So that if you are using levodopa or dopaminergic drugs in treatment of antipsychotic drugs induced Parkinsonism, therapeutic efficacy of antipsychotic drug, typical antipsychotic drug may be lost. That's why levodopa or dopaminergic drugs are not used in drug induced Parkinsonism. In drug induced Parkinsonism, central anticholinergic drugs are used. They are because they are anticholinergic drugs, so their side effect profile is similar to atropine. Urine retention, constipation, GIT movement are reduced, mydriasis, impairment of memory, organic confusional state, and blood vision, they are the more common in elderly. First, few of the first generation antihistaminic drugs are also used, like orphanadrine, promethazine, diphenhydramine. They are less efficacious than anticholinergic, but they are better tolerated by older patient. Their sedative action also helps. Orphanadrine has mild euphoriant action. Trihexyphenidyl, it is a central anticholinergic drug that is most commonly used drug in this category. Start with the lowest dose in 2 to 3 divided portion per day or gradually increase till side effects are tolerated. So these all about the drugs used in treatment of Parkinsonism. But what about the surgery? In the recent year, surgery has been found also in effective in treatment of Parkinsonism. Neurosurgery. Some part of brain is stimulated by placing electrodes. Small electrodes are placed in brain and the some part of brain is stimulated. Which part of brain? Subthalamic nuclei and globus pallidus interna. These are stimulated and the procedure is called DBS, deep brain stimulation. When surgery is done in treatment of Parkinsonism, in patients who suffer disability resulting from levodopa induced motor complications. That means after 4 to 5 years of therapy, levodopa therapy, when the patient develop motor fluctuation, on off phenomena, dyskinesia movement develop, levodopa is no longer effective. You have to supplement the other drug along with levodopa after 4 to 5 years. Patient is not responding well to levodopa. In that situation only surgery is indicated. It provides dramatic result, particularly with respect to off time and dyskinesia. But it also offers some limitation. It doesn't improve features that fail to respond to levodopa. So the whatever the clinical feature are have not shown response to levodopa, surgery also fails to improve them, and they doesn't prevent the development or progression of non-dopaminergic features like phaging, falling, and dementia. So whatever the clinical features are not controlled by levodopa, they will not also be controlled by surgery, and non-dopaminergic features also will not be treated by surgery. So these are the limitations of surgery. So this complete with anti-Parkinsonian drug. Thank you.